All right, here's the setup. I filmed this about 3 weeks ago, the morning after a thunderstorm, and I was walking back from the field, and you can see that's all the field there. This tree here is the farthest point out from the forest. It sticks out like a little finger, and I noticed this stick was stuck in the ground. So I look at it, it's like 2 inches stuck into the ground. I approach the tree, which we'll see here in a second, and it came off that tree. The trunk is splintered, and the lightning didn't hit the tree from above. It's not like a bolt struck the tree and shattered it. The electricity came out of the ground, up through the tree, and then I'm assuming connected with a bolt, also coming down from the clouds. But it wasn't hit by lightning. Lightning came out of it. You can see down that foot right there is where the trunk split as it goes up. So at this point, this was the morning after. It still looks alive, looks green, looks fresh. I put my hands on it. It felt moist. It felt like any other tree in the forest. Aside from the fact that the trunk is split in two different places and it twirls and spirals up. So again, I took this December 23rd, and then the next two videos I took yesterday in quick succession. And this film January 14th. As we can see that it's now brown, yellow, dead, dying. It's still alive. I'll explain that later. As you can see here, I'm going to zoom in that the last of the green leaves are there in that one limb. So I guess all the life force in the upper part of the tree is kind of segregated itself into that one limb. And then all of these trees have a symbiotic partner that I'm zoomed in here on the middle. It's a different kind of plant, and that's brown, dead, and dying as well. So now here's where it gets interesting. So after recording that previous short clip that we just saw, which was only meant to show the difference, from the morning after to 3 weeks later and how it's now dead and dying, I approached the tree, laid hands on it, and just listen. Okay, it's still too new for me to add emotion to it. So let me just describe what happened. And then I came around and I touched right here. Right here. I don't want to do it again. And I had the strongest emotional experience outside of sex. My mother dying and my dog Lemon dying were two completely different emotions. And they were stronger and longer lasting. Well, they were longer lasting. I can't say they were stronger. I was forced to pull my hand away. It felt like all the life force of the tree was running into my hand. And I was overcome with the struggle and the ferocity and the suffering that this tree is going through right now. It's not completely dead, the same way that there are dead stripes running up it, swirling parallel stripes. Within those dead stripes, there's also life hanging on. And, it's shutting down from top to bottom, and it's compartmentalizing because it's a tree. It shuts off limbs and it wants to die commonly when the tree is healthy. So it's in shock and it's recovering. And I am speaking for it because I communed with the thing. I had my hand on it, and to the best of my recollection, here's what I said. I'm going to say it without emotion. Keep in mind that my voice was in pain. I was feeling the suffering of this tree. and the pain, it wants it to end. It wants to go. That tree is ready to commit suicide. As crazy as that sounds, I'm telling you the truth. That poor tree. And so I had my hand on there and I was shaking and my knees went weak. I didn't fall because I was anchored by my hand to the tree. I've worked as an electrician for years, and in my spare time I've been electrocuted as well. I love it. It's great. It's just, love it. The thrill and the rush of it, and the intensity of the vibration, you know, like right now I have my hand in front of me and I'm like shaking at the elbow, you know, so my forearm and my hand and like my fingers are extended and just shaking like that. Not strongly, but rapidly. That feeling compressed and localized. And that's, I don't know, that's what my body does with it. And that's what I had with that tree right there. Like I said, it's clearly the focal point of an electric tendril, because that's where the bolt came out during the storm. And that poor tree has to suffer through it. So I didn't cry. I know tears didn't come out, but I felt like I was being tortured. And it wasn't the electricity. I wasn't being shocked like electric shock. It wasn't that. I was feeling and conscious the whole time and just receiving from the tree. And it was awful. It was awful. That tree is suffering. I took it as long as I could. I realize now, subconsciously, I wasn't aware I was thinking it. I wasn't aware that I was telling the tree that I had to pull my hand away. All I remember is receiving the message from the tree, no, don't go, stay here. I kept my hand there, and then I said out loud, as if in answer to the question that I didn't know I asked. As if in answer to the question I didn't know I asked. I said out loud, no, I can't take it anymore. I ripped my hand away, fell to my knees, looked up at the sun. You saw the relationship of the two. Looked up at the sun, through the trees, and to the best of my recollection, prayed, please, oh God, you expressed yourself through this poor tree. It was a conduit for your power, but your power was too strong, and it is suffering. Please stop. Please help ease the suffering of this tree. Please stop its suffering, I think was my prayer. And I'm still like, I feel like I've ran, you know, my heart went into adrenaline pump phase. I compared it to sex at the beginning of the video because the breathing was super heavy. It was just, that poor tree, man. That poor tree. I had never even considered this up until this point. But I mean, and I hate to cut down anything, but I mean, is it... Fuck. I think it is. I think I gotta cut it down. Okay. I've never caught this on tape before. This is how the universe communicates with me. Okay? Listen to my breathing. Okay, under control. I was just describing to you the breathing that which I forgot to mention earlier in the video. that I was having during the experience. My chest was heaving, big breaths in and out, like hyperventilation, heart pumping, lungs drawing. I'm receiving from this tree. Wow, this is too strong. I need to get out of here. No, don't go. No, I have to go. Rip my hand away, fall to my knees, pray to God for salvation for this tree, or at least remission of suffering for this tree. And then I calmed down and started recording. And here we are. Nothing happened in between. And while I was just and you heard it in real time. I didn't edit it or anything. While I was just before thinking, for the first time, I never thought this before, should I, to ease the suffering, cut down the tree? My breath started heaving again. That wasn't an act. I didn't put that on. You heard it. At least I hope you did. I tried to stop talking and just breathe, and I hope the camera caught it. That's how the universe communicates with me. That's how God answers my prayers specifically. I don't know if that's going to work for you. I don't know. All I know is that's how God communicates with me. I put out a prayer with full emotion. I mean, if ever anything was to hear a prayer, or if ever a prayer was to get through the muck and the mire, out of the atmosphere into the mind of God, our intentions behind everything carry weight with them. If you really think something, if you really believe something, it emanates from you farther than if you're just hoping. If you're hoping to hear that your prayer is going to be answered, it's going to get lost. If you know that you will at least be heard, if not answered, you will at least be heard. If you know that, it extends farther. It makes it a lot farther than if you hope it, in my personal opinion. So, I mean, the intense vibration that just happened and the deep experience that I just went through, and I'm trying to relate to you, when I know that made it there. I wasn't expecting an answer so quickly, but I guess because of the intensity of the experience, the answer came right away. I was thinking about cutting down the tree, and my heart started racing again, and I felt the emotion again, and the chest was heaving again, and the breathing was heavy again, and I felt like I was running again. The adrenaline was pumping, the endorphins were moving. There was an interaction but outside of my own being. It happened within me the same way that rain or a lightning bolt happens here on Earth, but it's coming from afar. It's being influenced by somewhere else. So my emotions, my chemical release, my brain was made to produce these emotions, which now I'm interpreting. Right? And that's how God communicates with me. Now, I have to figure out. The question was, should I ease... The plea was, please answer the suffering of this tree. Into my head, a new thought that I hadn't had before was, should I cut the tree down? And I was immediately taken back. The same emotion, the same release, the same memory was activated inside my mind. Now I have to determine, does that mean, yes, do it, please help me? Or, no, don't do it, I'm not suffering, this is bliss, leave me alone. To me, to my earthly being, I was overcome. My body, my physical form couldn't handle it. I had to rip my hand away from it and break the connection. It was agony, it was suffering, it was pain. But at the same time, I realized it was just pure vibration. It was just pure energy. As much as I know, the connection where the lightning came out of is still there and active, and it's flickering up and down the trunk of this tree. And the leaves and it's dying and it's dried out because the emotion, its physical body is being overcome as well, but it's clearly still, its consciousness is clearly still there. I just had a conversation with it. It just entered my being. It's still there. And to me, its suffering And I prayed for an answer to suffering. But is it bliss? I don't know. This is what I have to think about and interpret. And that's why when people hope and assume that things will be taken care for them, and that when I say the universe will provide and things will work out, I believe that. I don't hope that. I believe that. And it's all the difference. You know? I forget where I was going with that sentence. There was somewhere I was starting with, and it got lost along the way. There was a greater point there. I'll try to listen back and maybe, while I'm, loading the video and all that, expand on that or something. So that is where free will comes in. That is where paying attention comes in. A lot of times prayers are heard, pleas are responded to, but we just don't recognize it for what it is. It'll be a passing thought or a quirky coincidence or something that just gets dismissed as part of life. And lo and behold, that was sent to you from something that loves you and cares about you and is actively taking a part in your life. It's not like an overbearing parent that is forcing you to do things. But if you say, hey mom, hey pops, I ran into some trouble. Do you think you can help me out here? Is there somebody you know? Is there something you can do? Show me, give me some advice. Tell me what I should do here. What's the best option? The universe will consider that. If you believe it's going to be heard, I think it'll be heard. I know it will be heard. I believe it'll be heard. See, that think there is wrong. That's part of the problem. I don't hope, I don't think, I know. It has to be heard because it is, because I get answers. I just got the answer on the camera with you. This whole thing's blowing my mind right now. But I have the ability to not understand the message. I have the ability to not even recognize that it is a message. I have the ability to ignore the message, to do the opposite of the message, to pretend to know that it's there, and pretend that I didn't hear it and completely ignore it for the rest of my life. I have the free will to do that. I wasn't made a machine. Things are predetermined, yes. I believe that what was written down is going to come to pass. Because it already has, and it will, and it won't, and it is, and it does. But within that framework, within the play, I'm a character within the play, which has been written. The scenes are down. It's maybe been performed before, I don't know, but it's certainly performed now. And I'm being watched by at least one thing that can answer me. So I'm being watched as a character within this play. But I have full ability to do anything I want within the play, including write myself out. I can kill myself and be done, and be no longer involved in the action that's going on stage. I have the ability to do that as the character, even though I've been written in. It's the storyboard is blank. I have the free will, the ability to do anything, but at the same time, I can ask the author, where do you envision me going? When you wrote this thing, where were you hoping I would end up? And there's going to be a snake in there. I'm not going to go any farther. That's the thing. Sorry, I got distracted by the possible snake. All right, so all that just happened. I think this is plenty long enough. It's 20 minutes on the camera. I'm probably going to edit that out, maybe a thing or two at the beginning that isn't relevant when I was out by the tree and voice over then. But I swear to you that second experience, the answer to the prayer was real. And now I have to sit and ponder and try to figure out exactly what that meant. Get the chainsaw and sever the connection, or let it be, because it incorrectly expressed to me the joy that it's feeling, and my earthly body interpreted it as despair it just overwhelmed my system, and I felt it as suffering. I don't know. But I do know that the first thing I did after I took my hand off the tree was drop to my knees and plead to the universe to end the suffering. So maybe that does mean cut it down, and my reliving of the experience while I was thinking about cutting it down meant, yes, that's right. I put the thought in your head to cut it down. I'm reinforcing that thought to cut it down by giving you the emotion again. Please go cut that tree down. It could be either one of, or both of those things, or neither of those things. But what cannot be denied is that the answer came. Wow, look at this. This is long enough. I'm going to take a picture of this leaf, a still frame. I'm not going to be able to get a good video of it. I'm going to take a still frame of that leaf and leave you with that. Thank you for listening and possibly experiencing some of what I just did. That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous. God is real. God is listening. Just talk to him. Ask his advice. And no, don't hope. Hope is useless. It really is. Hope is useless. No, knowledge and action, man. Knowledge and action. That's the fifth doggy's voice.